Hello everyone, this is Zeeebo and welcome to this AFK journey video. So we are back again on Crystal Beetle build, and this morning my friend actually did 290 build damage, as you guys can see on screen right now. So he's the top one guy in my district, and he shared this comp out on his Bilibili site. So I'll link up his Bilibili in the description down below for those of you guys who are able to visit it and you guys want to see his videos. So for his comp right here, instead of running Scarlita as well as Thoran, he used Phraesto as well as Reiner. So he went the double Hypogean. And before I start, right, for his account, it's very developed in the sense it's very high level in terms of tiers. There's a lot of Paragon Force, a lot of stars, and then his resonance level is also really high. So whatever is working here might not work for you. So I think I mentioned this multiple times, but I'm going to say it again, right? Find the comp that is best for your account based on your own investments, and sometimes what may work for other people might not work for you. So my job today is to test out whether or not this comp is indeed better than the Scarlita one, and then update accordingly based on whatever I have, right? Based on my accounts or based on my friend's account that I'll be using for the testing. So over here, as you guys can see, Reiner and Phraesto in the place of Thoran and Scarlita. So what I can see here is a more consistent damage source in the form of Phraesto and Reiner doing the boost for your whole team, so your whole team do more damage. Whereas Scarlita is, I'll say, like the damage dealer in the other team, right? So her damage is quite varied in a sense. If she does get a crit off her massive skill damage, then she could do a lot more. So there will be a little bit of RNG in the different comps, but we'll test it out later on with 2 attempts. And let's take a look at my friend's damage distribution. Okay, let's start. So this is the damage distribution. Phraesto Paragon 4, 5-star, 48 billion. Reiner Paragon 4, 5-star, 11 billion. Smokey 6-star, 61 billion. Paragon, so basically everything is Paragon 4. Then we have Coco, and then we have Corinne, as you guys can see over here. So Corinne did a total of 116 build damage right there. So I think the Reiner effectively amped up the damage of all the other units, including himself. And I'll say that Phraesto is there to provide the energy regen as well as provide additional damage and fix the fractional bonus, because we cannot use Thoran in this comp, or rather Thoran in this comp specifically is, I'll say, usable. If you don't have Phraesto, you can try to use Thoran, but Thoran and Reiner's debuff, they don't stack, so you kind of reduce his efficiency by a little bit. So depending on who you have, you can try to play around with the units, then change out the positioning, right, based on your different comps. So for him, it's Phraesto, Reiner, Smokey, Coco, as well as Corinne. So there's some positional changes that he did from yesterday to today, so he updated me. So I will inform you guys accordingly later in the battle, but this is damage distribution. So let's take a look at how this team turns out. Okay, so I will increase the speed of this video by a little bit, because based on his positioning, he slotted Smokey in the middle. So smoke is able to buff everyone, but based on this, as you guys can see, the Smokey actually get disabled. So that's where the buff is not like fully maximized, right? There will be some downtime compared to when you put Smokey at a very safe location, where he's able to keep the ultimate up. So in this, I'll say that in this replay, the damage is not really that affected, because the aroma damage will still go through as long as he's able to channel the full duration. And then for the Coco's Roar, I don't think Coco's replaceable, because you really need the damage reduction for the massive AoE damage. Then Phraesto is there to apply the debuff, right, do some damage as well as buff up your other allies. So Smokey died over there, but I think his Smokey position yesterday was a little bit more optimal. In a sense, it's at the top left hand side, whereas the Beetle don't target the left hand tile, so the Smokey was able to channel fully. Okay, so this is the team placement. So for Phraesto in the front line, and then I think it's swap Reiner in. Let's go back to the positions again. Right, yeah, he swapped Reiner. Reiner is in front, and then Reiner swaps Corinne in. So Corinne is the one with the Reiner buff, the purple ring. And then Phraesto basically doesn't die with damage reduction as well as the massive shield. Very close to dying there, but didn't die. Okay, died there. So this is his team. Okay, so I'm gonna go into my other account, right, to showcase or to test whether or not this team is better compared to the team that we tested yesterday, which is the Scarlita-Thoran. So I'm gonna shift up my portrait over here. So right now we are at 27.4 build, which is yesterday's damage. So the goal of this video is to test out whether or not the Reiner comp is indeed better if you have all the units available, if you have the units which is very close in terms of power level. So the positioning of Smokey here, right, it's more safe in a sense because most of the units are all on the left side of the boss. So you can see the boss is targeting the left side, so he never throws the spike at the Smokey. So Smokey is able to channel the aroma fully. But I'll say like for Smokey's aroma specifically, I don't think the heal is so important. I think the buff is more important because like most of the time the boss just do massive burst that either kills your unit or is like gonna do massive damage. So heal is, I mean, is important, okay, but not specifically for this boss. At least as you guys can see, right, the unit just get instant melted, so like there's no room for you to heal back up if you just die instantly. So right here we did about 26.9 build, okay. So this is with the Scarlita-Thoran. We're going to run through the damage report, okay. So slightly lower than yesterday. Okay, one thing about this comp I realized is the RNG factor in a sense. Number one, because we are losing a little bit in the factional bonus because we are running 3 factions, Mauler, Graveborn, as well as the Light Bearer faction. And then the other one is Scarlita. Even though she's an amazing damage dealer, I think she has quite a bit of RNG involved in terms of like her damage output. Like sometimes she lands herself in a very awkward position and then she do way less damage. So the other friend did 29 build, right, with a more developed account. We tried it on this account, we did 26.9 build, okay. So take note of the numbers here. Now we're gonna switch over into his comp, which is the Phraesto comp, and the positioning is as such. I'm gonna put it on screen for you guys. Okay, so this is the positioning. Okay, so Smokey is the one with energy regen, Coco is the one with the damage reduction. So this is his positioning from the video just now. And yeah, we'll test whether or not this one does more damage than the previous Scarlita-Thoran. Okay, so without further ado, let's start the battle. Okay, so in this place, I think because, right, a lot of units that are congregated to the center, so the boss's spike will hit the center and then Smokey will be stunned. But the buff from the Smokey aura, the attack buff, still sticks around for a bit until he's able to recover. But the aroma is, I'll say like there will be some downtime in terms of the buff and heals, unfortunately. But I think it doesn't really change the outcome too much. So still gets the third aroma off. Even though the third aroma gets interrupted, you will still be able to get the full damage because it's like once it casts, right, the whole damage will go through. So it doesn't really affect the damage for Smokey. And I think this comp has a little bit more stats advantage because number one, you're getting the 4 unit buff and you're getting an additional 1% because you're using 2 Hypogean units instead of just 1 Scarlita compared to the Thoran comp. So I think we should probably survive a little bit better. Okay, we still melted, right? Smokey and Reiner still melted. But Corinne is still on the battlefield. So we did a little bit more damage. It's weird because both these runs, even though we're at a higher resonance level, we are, I'll say like doing less damage than yesterday. Okay, but for this one, right, we are a little bit better than the Scarlita comp. So it's very hard to judge whether or not this comp is indeed better. But I will say that his comp should probably be better. I think I'll do what? I will do another run with the Smokey at a more optimal position from yesterday, from what I saw from the video, and then we see whether or not we can perform better, because I think Smokey got interrupted quite a bit, which I think even though Smokey being interrupted is not a massive thing, but it does affect your team survival and affects the buff. So I'm going to put Smokey here, which is the arrangement yesterday, and I'm going to optimize the positioning. So I'm just going to put it in the middle. So in this way, I think Smokey will still be able to buff most of the units. I think not all. I don't think Smokey's buff will benefit Coco, but I don't think it matters too much because Coco's not really like a big damage dealer to begin with. So we're going to do this, and then we see whether or not this is the more optimal position. Okay, but I feel that his comm is a little bit more tanky, other than the fact that the Smokey basically got controlled like a lot of times in the battle, which might have affected the damage output, unfortunately. So we'll see whether or not this one does better. So this was his setup from yesterday. So you guys can see at that location, Smokey is relatively safe. So actually this position is, I'll say, a lot better because all the units still get covered inside the cloud and we are not disturbed, or Smokey is not disrupted. Yeah, and I think if Smokey is not disrupted, we probably have a better chance in terms of surviving. Although the burst might still be too big, but we shall see, Because Coco's shield is based on the damage we do. So if the uptime on Smokey's aroma is really high and our damage output is really high, we will get a much higher shield value on everyone. So we still melted, unfortunately. So the beetle still melted. Okay, so this was way worse. Okay, this was way worse. Okay, so we are back on my own account. This is the damage that I dealt yesterday, which is 27.6 bill. I think what went wrong with the boss is that the boss's scaling is like slightly more insane in terms of damage output, and there's a lot of RNG involved in with this boss because like when your Coco used the skill compared to when the boss used the skill sort of changes the outcome. But I kind of want to try more of my friend's Phraesto comm with Reiner, because I do think that his comm is slightly better in terms of surviving. So this is the comm which I used yesterday. I'm gonna do this and then see whether or not the damage is better, whether or not it's lower. And then later on, I'm gonna do the Phraesto comm with like updated positioning. Okay. So for me, my best was 27.6 bill. So there are people doing 28, 29, 30 billion on top. And I think it's really a lot of RNG factor involved as well, because that initial burst, I'm gonna shift my portray so that you guys can see the timer. So this initial burst here, right, it's from the last few seconds. So one thing I realized about primal lot designs is that usually they have this attack scaling based on the HP lowering, but then it makes it such that if your team is hitting way too hard and they're not super duper tanky, they just get bursted by one ultimate, which happens quite a lot. As you guys can see from my friend's team just now, he was way higher level. He was like 491, whereas I'm only 490, so I should be by right a lot less tankier, right? But my units sort of managed to survive a little bit better here. Yeah, but the damage is still very, very weird in a sense. I think the higher level you go, the worse damage scaling it is for you, pretty unfortunately. Okay, so maybe tanking your way out is the way to go. So this is the distribution, as you guys can see. So this is from the Scarlita-Thoran, 26.8. So I think being the Phraesto one is a lot better if you are higher level because of the stat scaling. So what I'm gonna do, right, what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna put Reiner, I'm gonna put Coco in the middle. Okay, put Coco with, do I want to put damage reduction? Kind of want to use damage reduction to protect Coco, but at the same time I also want more heals though. Okay, we shall see how it goes. So we're gonna send Reiner in. So this is the positioning. Okay, so what is going on in my mind right now is this, right? If I were to send Corin in, right, Phraesto will move up, and then the boss, because there's a lot of units on the left hand side of the boss's direction, the boss will attack that, and then Smokey will be able to keep the smoke cloud active throughout. So let's see whether or not this is more optimal. Okay, so I didn't change the levels at all, even though it doesn't matter because I'm essence stuck. So as you guys can see, okay, it still targets the middle, and then it still disables Smokey, unfortunately. I think that's, I'll say, like the issue with Phraesto with Smokey, right? Like there's like very hard for you to dodge it. Although, although actually Coco's position is quite safe. And I'm kind of like wasting Phraesto's energy regen. But I feel that energy regen is not that important because surviving overall to last longer is a lot more important. Okay, we still get melted there, unfortunately. Yeah, so this burst is the annoying part in my honest opinion because of that scaling that I mentioned. Like, we could be a lot stronger, but it's still not like a foolproof solution for us to clear. So yeah, I did way lower damage here. So unfortunately, that positioning was not good. And I'll probably try one last one because I don't really care about my ranks and stuff. So for this one, how about we give Coco the energy regen and then we give Corinne the damage reduction. And we put Coco here. I mean, we put Smokey here. I think that could be better, right? Will it still stun Smokey? No, wait, but Smokey will be the attention though, unfortunately. Yeah, we'll draw the aggro from the boss. Okay, so I guess we will test this because I thought the Smoky Cloud was still able to hit everyone. So we shall test this. Could a defensive artifact be better? I don't think so, right? Okay, maybe in the next few days I'll test out the other artifacts because this is at 20, the others only at 19 and 17. So I think Thunderbolt spell might have something, right? Might have something, we don't know. I'll test it out and see. But let's go with Evocation, which is the more stable and proven one with my friend setup and see the damage output. Okay. So we got damage reduction on Corinne and then we got energy regen on Coco. So hopefully we are able to generate our shield faster or have more shield uptime. So this position keeps Smokey safe so the aroma is active throughout. Yeah, so for this boss, what I realized so far in the past few days of testing is the faster you do damage to the boss, if your sustain skill cannot keep up, you die pretty easy. Like, a lot of people mentioned that like they tried the exact same meta com, they tried the so-called strongest com or the free-to-play friendly com, and then they just died right from, and this dying is coming from this instantaneous ultimate, which is because of the scaling of the boss. So the scaling is one issue which I think has like plagued the bosses for a really long time. Yeah, so this one I think we are doing a little bit better. Let's hope we survive. Okay, we did manage those. Yeah, this is where we survived, and because we survived that ultimate, we are able to break our personal best. Okay, so yeah, we broke through. So this is my peeve about this boss. So right here, I'm doing 28.5 build. Right, so I did a lot better because I survived from the instant ultimate. So like, is this com the stronger one? Okay, so if you ask me honestly, I don't know whether or not it's the stronger one, right? Because I feel that there's a lot of RNG involved, and based on the scaling, what I observe is the more damage you do, right, the harder the boss will hit you back. So if you ask me, is this com better in surviving? I think it is, purely from the stats viewpoint. So if you're able to survive the full cycle, there's actually a high chance for you to hit a lot harder. Whereas for the Scarlita one, I think that com can also do a lot of damage, but at the same time, because you have a little bit lesser stats, you might not be surviving as well. So your damage is, I would say, is still stable, but probably not as stable as you just having raw stats. So that's my evaluation for this com. I'll say if you have these units, right, you have Phraesto, right, if you have Reiner, then you have like all the units that is here, right, you can definitely give this com a try and see whether or not it works better for you. I think Smokey on the top left position is better because I think Smokey being like able to cast the ultimate or the aroma cloud permanently is going to be really helpful to just inch through the surviving portion for this boss. Okay, so that's it, right? The third day of Crystal Beetle, a lot more testing because we still need to farm up the chance for our characters, and then we still need to do the free-to-play version best team. So that's it for this video, right? Stay tuned for more Crystal Beetle guide if you guys want to see the updates as I try to test different things out daily, and I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye guys!